Hi. So I stumbled across a thread about person hitting 6 off color in his 6-link Loreweave while trying to get 1 green. And there's quite a bit of misinformation thrown here about Loreweave and how to color it. Let's start with this, for example, right? So this is Loreweave. Do not attempt to jeweler method with artisan bench. The item level of this thing is probably around 25. It can't even have a 6 socket. The only reason it has its explicit line. Vorici jeweler it for coloring, you will lose them and be forced to 6 socket again at his bench. Okay. There is... I'm remembering this wrong, but despite the explicit always have 6 sockets, if you go below that, you need to have item level to go back up to 6 sockets. Socketing with Vorici ignores item level. There's... there was another comment somewhere I wanted to showcase. Hopefully I can find it. Basically saying that you need an item level of 50 Loreweave in order to, or item level 50 or higher in order to use a jeweler orb to 6 socket. So if you didn't know, you break down a Loreweave, you can 6 socket it back to you can socket it back to 6 without use of a jeweler orb. And that's basically how it's going to be colored. I'm a bit sad I can't find it now. But there was a comment about, yeah, here. 1 jeweler to 6 socket and item level 50 plus Loreweave. So a lot of this is kind of misleading and just not true, but basically it's based on this, right? So there's a minimum item level to have a certain amount of sockets through using a jeweler orb. So if I had an item that could have 6 sockets, a chest piece for example, that was item level 49. I could not get 6 sockets on it with a jeweler orb because you need an item level 50 or higher. But then you have Vorici that can bypass that rule. So you can Vorici brute force 6 sockets with 350 jeweler orbs, regardless of the item level. Okay, I did a quick search on YouTube if there was a, a guide on how to color Loreweave, and I didn't find any. I just found videos of like the normal Vorici crafting method and people explaining how to obtain Loreweave in the first place and like through the vendor recipe and etc, etc. So the normal Vorici crafting method is, so this is on strength int base, so getting 4 green normally with chromes is kind of hard, but Vorici socketing doesn't randomize the colors on them. It just adds or removes a socket in the linking order, and the linking order starts from top left, goes right, down, left, down, and right again. So it follows this pattern. So I could be doing this. An attempt to get a green socket here is 4 jewelers, right? I obviously could just brute force at least the green, but generally it's cheaper to do this. So I could keep doing this until I hit the 3rd green, and then I could continue doing it with this for 13 jewelers an attempt, right? So I could do that. So now Loreweave is a bit different. So I have 3 different item level Loreweaves here. I have 15, so this could never be able to hit 4 sockets normally jewelering, right? But it can. Right? Now I have 27, so this should never be able to hit 5. or 6. And then I have item level 50 plus. So it should be able to get it always, right? So the interesting part, or I guess a weird part, is that if you reduce the sockets of a Loreweave to the maximum it should be able to have because of the item level, then this doesn't work anymore. Item already has the maximum number of sockets. So regardless of the item level, you can have it at 6 sockets. Also, Vorici doesn't bypass the item level restriction when adding sockets. Actually, you can't add any sockets with Vorici. This should be able to get to 3 sockets, but has fixed sockets. So the only way to add sockets to this chest piece is through a jeweler orb, and the item level matters only when you're trying to get a certain amount of off-color sockets. So, an example, I cannot 4 socket, like I can socket this further, but if I break it down to 2, then I can. Then this here cannot get more than 4 sockets, right? Actually, let's go here first. So, okay, it get all the sockets, then we go 4, and now it can't hit anything because the item level isn't high enough. It should be 35. And then we have the higher item level chest. Obviously, that works. Yep, still works. Still works. And still works. So, the item level matters when you try to get a certain amount of off-color sockets. So, in the example of this low-level chest, getting 3 off-color, so 3 green, is, well, obviously it's easy because I could just brute force it through Vorici. Vorici like coloring and not socketing. So if you were to want to get a lot of green on this, it's not a good idea, right? So I could be doing this. So 2 jewelers, attempt. So if I wanted to get a 4 off color, I could by hitting 2 randomly or brute forcing 3 green, or using something like, you know, 2 green and then hoping it hits. But like the brute forcing is, you know, kinda hard with this chest. Getting 3 off color is easy, but getting 4, 5, or 6 is quite a bit harder. And then for this chest, which is 27, I could be doing this until I hit the 4 green. Remember, they have to be in order. So the third green has to be here. So there we got it. And now we can keep doing this for the 4th one. Well, there's now 4 too. That's decent colors for some builds, etc., etc. But if you wanted to get 5 off color on this, you're actually in a bit of trouble, because the moment you hit 4 green here, you can't add the extra sockets anymore. So you'd have to go back to 3 with 3 green that I had earlier, and I accidentally broke, but it doesn't really matter. You would have to now hit the green and then the remaining sockets that you want. So if you want a 5 or 6 off color Loreweave, for 5 off color, you want an item level of 35 or higher. 35 is the threshold where you can. I think I actually have one. Yeah, 39. So with an item level 35 or higher, you can still add the sockets after the 4th, right? And if you want 6 off color, you either have to get lucky, like really lucky with the item level 35 plus, or you need an item level 50 plus to be able to add the last socket from here. which is 71 jewelers an attempt if you do it this way, or 11 if you're trying to hit the last two green in the same roll, which is doable, but I'm not sure which one is the better way to do it. I don't think I have heard people do it that way. Okay, I don't really have heard people doing 6 off color anyways, but getting 5 off color on a Loreweave is actually really easy. The last attempt is only what, 11 jewelers every time you do it, so it's really easy to get the 5 off color. So hopefully this video helps people understand how to color Loreweave and when item level does matter and when it doesn't. Yeah. Hope you enjoyed.